Oni the Unicorn. And I'm here to tell you that f***ing your dreams ain't cheap. In fact, it costs a ton of cash to do. So that's why me and the Ohno radio show need your help. Just go to the website displayed below and hit us up with some cash, yo. $1, $5, $1 million if you have it to spare. Any amount is appreciated. Well, I gotta go because these dreams ain't gonna fuck themselves. See ya!
And welcome back indeed to yet another edition of the Ohno Wrestling Podcast. Oh shit, I forgot. I did the wrong thing, my bad. It's okay though. I stopped my entrance music, but I got it back going again. Guys, welcome to the most professional wrestling podcast of all time. Thrown off already. God damn it, this is the Ohno Wrestling Podcast, and with me tonight, it's my good friend Duncan, the king of bong style. How you doing, buddy?
I'm sad. I'm in mourning.
Uh-huh.
We're going to talk about it.
We'll talk about that in just a second, because of course, with us again tonight, and again, sorry about last week, by the way. We were unable to do a show, scheduling conflicts, and some people have to go back and do jobs again. Boo, Roman, boo.
Boo.
But with us all the way from the lovely Scranton Hilton, or Hyatt, whatever it is our good friend, the modern-day Maharaja Matthew. How are you, my friend?
I am gladly back in the worst town I have ever been.
Can confirm.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before, and obviously it's your home away from home for work purposes, but
Yeah, I was, I've been a jobber through the entire pandemic.
Yep.
So you guys now are welcome to the club, being a jobber.
We're the Ohno Wrestling Job Squad.
that's
Yeah,
true.
and interestingly enough, for the person who has to miss the most shows because of work-related items, I was the only one available last Tuesday.
How is
true.
that even possible?
I sat around my house just in silence.
In fairness, I was available last Tuesday, but it would have been like a me and Matthew show, and it's just like...
Which is always fine.
Freebird rules. We could have done it.
You could have.
I thought maybe you were busy too. I guess I misinterpreted.
No, Tuesday.
But
Somehow Tuesday is my only day off. Like, I didn't ask for it, but like Tuesday, and then in a future not too far away, Wednesday.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, yeah, no, that's gonna be good for us. That's gonna be good for hopefully the Ohno Wrestling Podcast, and more than likely I'll be able to do shows every week. It might be a little bit later. It might have to hit around 9, but hey, we'll do what we can every week to try and get you some form of content out there, and these people like to hear us talk about the wrestlings. So
Yeah.
Graps.
Wrestling.
the Graps. I know my friend, our friend of the show, Kyle Deuce, old Deuce, was very disappointed that he didn't get his fix this past week.
Sorry, Deuce.
well, happy belated birthday, Deuce. I saw the pictures you posted.
Yeah.
That you were on TV. It looked like you were having a good old time at AEW. So
Yeah.
happy belated birthday.
Happy belated birthday to Deuce,
Yeah.
and it sounds like, I mean, he caught a pretty cool Dynamite. There's some good stuff on that show, and the last, I mean, it was I think it was good to have the Saturday in between, like buffer, it seems, because they've been obviously doing the shows on Fridays because of the NBA playoffs, and then they had this Saturday show where it definitely piqued their viewership, I think, a lot more than the Friday shows, and it's nice to have that as a buffer in between them now going back to regular Wednesday night shows. So I think good for you for getting to see a show. I'm thinking of I think they're going back to Daly's Place sometime late August. And I'm half tempted to maybe try and pick up tickets to that one.
Maybe that's when I make the trip.
Maybe.
All right, let's we'll discuss this.
Get back to it.
Discuss
like
this off air, but yeah, maybe we can.
I was gonna say we'll discuss this off air, but I like this. I like the way this is going.
Same. One thing that I didn't like how it went, apart from one factor, is this recent pay-per-view that WWE put on, that being Hell in a Cell. This honestly has to be one of the weakest. Seriously, it's got to be one of the weakest pay-per-views they've ever done, right? Like
it wasn't great.
It wasn't great by any means, and the fact that they had a Hell in a Cell match on the SmackDown on a Friday and a Hell in a Cell match on the Monday on Raw, which made me think, like, did USA get kind of pissed and they were like, got to do a fucking Hell in a Cell match, or were they just like, we're not taking it down? Like,
I think I think you hit the nail on the head with that first point.
The first one.
And it sounds like they got a lot of pressure on like SmackDown, or sorry, Fox put a lot of pressure on WWE to try and get their ratings, I guess, a bit back up as they've been dropping a little bit, and they were the ones to pressure WWE into putting that Roman Ray match on that SmackDown. So then, of course, USA and NBC gets all pissed off and like, well, you did it for them. Where's our fucking match? And I gotta say, the USA one, they actually lucked out because it was way better.
They got a better match.
They got a better match.
The Ray Roman match wouldn't have made Hell in a Cell pay-per-view any better.
No, it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have.
Not at all. It would have just made it drag more.
And this is a weird thing to say, and I guess it's just a sign of the times, because Hell in a Cell used to be such an event, an attraction in and of itself.
Hell in a Cell. But it didn't used to be a full pay-per-view.
No, it was a match on a pay-per-view.
Exactly. Like, it was a special stipulation match. Like, it was like when the cage match didn't do what you needed it to do.
Exactly.
Like, you put them in a Hell in a Cell.
Yeah.
So it's just lost so much of the meaning behind it. Like, now it's just a match type. It's like, okay, fine. Like, whatever. Yeah. Like, stop booking these matches for no reason.
100%, and it feels like it's for the sake of it a lot of the times, that there's Hell in a Cell rolls around every year. We've got who's having the most intense rivalry, and let's throw him in a cage. I don't get it from that standpoint, because a cell or a cage should be there to for storyline purposes always, to keep either a chicken shit heel from running away, or to keep people from coming in and interfering. That's the whole point of putting a cage up in the first place.
Right.
The matches that we had, like, I guess you can argue with the MVP thing with McIntyre, Lashley. You can argue that with the MVP's involvement, that would be a reason to have a cell match. But they didn't play into that at all. They never really said anything about that. And then you have the other match on the other side. Bayley's not got anybody that really needs.
No, and nor does Bianca.
Like, that match, it was probably the best match on the show, but it didn't need to be a Hell in a Cell match.
No,
realistically,
it would have served the same purpose and probably been a better match had it not been in the cell. Correct.
Because again, and credit to Bayley for trying to be inventive, but a lot of it it didn't build any real story for me. It's just doing these crazy kendo stick spots and whatever she's pulling out.
And cell spots and things just for the sake of doing spots to try and make it stand out from the fact that there's going to be two more Hell in a Cell matches on the same damn show.
And that's it. It's just a lot of for the sake of it. That doesn't need to really be there for me. I will say,
and you don't need that many Hell in a Cell matches on the pay-per-view. Granted, we just talked about how there were 2 bookends, right?
Right.
To this on Raw and SmackDown, which you didn't need, but you don't need all of those additionals. Like, you should have like 1 Hell in a Cell match that actually means something.
Yeah.
On the pay-per-view, like you were saying.
Do some other stipulations.
Exactly. They don't all have to be in the cell because you have it there.
Right. Yeah. The same with TLC. Like, not every match needs to be a TLC match. Also, don't do a chairs match.
No, they're
chairs
stupid.
match is stupid.
Chairs matches are stupid. Even tables matches are kind of dumb, really. Like
a tables match, like, I get it. Right, like, okay, you want to add a little bit of a hardcore element to it without really having to step it up too much. Okay, fine. I
get that too, but like, there's no reason that on a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view you couldn't have a no holds barred match without a cell. Like, you can just you can absolutely have that, and a match like Drew and Bobby, I think, might have been better in that context. Just because of story, once again. I'll give the Roman Ray one a slight pass just because of Dominic, I suppose, and the Usos, right? They can...
Okay.
But once again, they didn't... It's not like they used that as a story device. They didn't, like... That is there, and that's me reading that. That's me as a fan putting that on there as justification for why this match should happen. It was never like Michael Cole wasn't out there talking about how we need this in a cell because we've got the Usos and like so many things, like so many people can get involved and all that. Like, there was no mention of any of it. Like,
no.
It's just, and why is even Rey Mysterio the guy to be challenging Roman at this point to begin with? Like,
I can answer that one. Because they're running out of people to challenge. Right?
Oh, right, because they fired all of them. That might be... we'll get into that in just a little bit. But, all those guys that you were building. Right.
Do you guys... And I don't know, I just had this thought as the show was starting. So I was thinking with the draft coming up, right? And with Drew not being able to challenge for the title, he's now in the Money in the Bank match.
Yep.
He could get that, and now he could go after Roman, not gonna win it, but now setting up another potential opponent and switching brands.
Switching brands, or he uses it to go after Bobby Lashley, and eventually, like, Drew's the one that topples Lashley.
I think there's the possibility of them using the briefcase as the scapegoat for this stipulation they've put on Drew.
Yeah.
It's
the only logical
way
wrestling.
And I don't like it either, because I don't really want Drew with the briefcase. Like, no. I've got nothing against Drew, but I think he needs to be on, like, an upper mid-card level again for a while before he's back in the main title picture. I don't necessarily think that it's the right choice with how much, like, I'm not going to say forced down our throats, but how much we've seen of Drew over, like, the pandemic era into now.
And how much he's lost matches.
And lost momentum in just, like, I think a lot of the fans' eyes as well. Now would be the time. And we'll talk more extensively about this, I think, as the show progresses. But now is the time to bite the bullet on somebody that we've been building up. And again, we'll save it for just a second because I want to just finish our thoughts on Hell in a Cell first. The reason, by the way, that
that you're so intent on talking about it.
And that the ONW Predictions title has now changed hands from your former champion, the King of Bomb Style,
champion,
to your new ONW Wrestling Predictions champion.
Aren't you dead?
The short break head, Owen Butler.
Who let him in here?
Wow, Gallows and Anderson again.
Yeah, exactly.
I won the belt in the cheapest of possible ways. A metaphorical.
I'm not even mad about losing the title when I lose the title and it's like, oh yeah, nope, you got the predictions on me, but like it was a fucking disqualification.
Yeah.
And I guess an attempt at a double turn.
I don't even know if that was the intent, man. Like, I've heard this talked about a lot. I literally, in this feud between Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair, do not think that anybody, including WWE and including the characters themselves, know if they're heel or face. I don't think that any of them know. And that was obviously how I won the match. I think all of our predictions were identical apart from that one match.
And you said it when we did predictions. You said I got to go this one. I got to be a little different.
Something.
And
yeah.
This time it paid
off.
Yeah.
You fucking chicken shit champion.
Chicken
shit champion. That's what I'm gonna call it.
Well, champion nonetheless.
CSC.
Champion nonetheless. So I will take everything I get of it. But I'll say this.
Yeah, I mean, win if you can, lose if you must, but always cheat.
Always
right?
cheat. Always cheat.
So I can't even be mad about it because like a win is a win.
So I guess the real story that they're trying to tell here, doing a poor job of it with Rhea and Charlotte, is that Charlotte is much like her dad, the dirtiest player in the game, right?
Okay.
And that Rhea is learning the tricks of a Charlotte Flair.
You're learning, bitch. You're learning.
Right.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Are you Freddy fucking Krueger?
But that's...
You're learning, bitch. Like, that's what it was. Like, fucking knife hands. Come on.
This is the story, though, right? That I think that they're trying to tell.
I don't know what story they're trying to tell. I can't fucking figure it out.
In a lot of ways, I don't see this as a double turn, Duncan, but I do see it as a Rhea Ripley heel turn. And I think that's what's going to end up happening. Charlotte will remain heel, but Rhea, to like kind of get her out of this rut that she's in right now, needs some adjustment. And turning her into a more aggressive, dirty ass heel, I think is there. I don't know that they have to do it, but I think it's their attempt at making her more interesting again.
And I don't disagree with that, right? However, I think the problem is that they tried to make her too baby right off the bat.
Yeah, she should have come in as more of an ass kicker. Like,
her fucking entrance music starts off by screaming, "This is my brutality."
Correct.
Why the fuck aren't you playing into that? She doesn't have to be a heel to be brutal.
No, I mean, and there's plenty of people that have done this before in the past. They've been faces with like this really ruthless, aggressive. Like, I can't. One's not really popping into my head at the moment because, of course, it isn't. But I've seen that before, and I know that it can work.
That was John Cena Ruthless Aggression, which was was that like 19 years ago,
something like that. But
it just happened. Like the anniversary was just a couple days ago.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, we've actually seen it with someone else. They didn't know what to do with the character, but Braun wasn't a heel and he was just fucking like, wrecking hell for a while at certain points, right?
Yeah.
He was just a big, tough fucking monster among men, you know, and just fucking tearing through people,
Monster among men, so much better than the fucking Strowman Express.
Correct.
Like the Strowman Express was just like, oh man, choo-choo noises.
And it could have worked even if they just left out the choo-choo. I could have been fine with it if just the choo-choo was never happened. But back to the
when do you think they let Nicholas go?
Oh no,
from the roster?
I think Nicholas is still under contract.
He's head writer, isn't he? I think he's head writer right now.
Head writer?
Yeah.
He's the one giving Bruce all these fucking bad ideas.
Yeah. And of course he would get rid of Strowman. I mean, Strowman took all of his spotlight away. Like, so,
I mean, first of all, Strowman did put him on the map. Like, you can't even say, like, Nicholas wouldn't be Nicholas if it wasn't for Strowman.
But Nicholas has got that ego now, though. Like, that's
I
what,
know.
yeah.
He went full Shawn Michaels and Strowman was his Marty Jannetty.
Marty Jannetty. That's the weirdest sentence that might have ever been spoken. But
Braun Strowman is Marty Jannetty, name of the episode.
The other problem that that I have, of course, with this match, and I know a million other media outlets have talked about it, but it is true in the fact that how is in every other main event of every other Raw, someone put through a goddamn announce table, and there's never a DQ, and Rhea Ripley uses the little flimsy thing that goes on the top and whacks Charlotte with it once, and that's a disqualification.
DQ. Wouldn't that be like if you threw somebody into the ring steps? That would be a DQ.
That would logically. I mean, maybe it's the difference between throwing them into something and then using something as an object, like, you know. I guess you're theoretically using it more as a weapon because you picked the thing up. Like if you picked up the stairs and you bashed a person, that would be a weapon. But if you just threw them into it, it's not. I'm assuming that's the logic behind it.
I feel like maybe the logic was we have these Hell in a Cell matches. We have all of this shit happening with kendo sticks and fucking tables and cells and everything. This is the one thing that's gonna set those apart. Like it's gonna make the Hell in a Cell matches seem more extreme because there's rules in this, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like that was a logic, and it's really shitty fucking logic.
Yes.
Which is why I'm not putting it past WWE to have fucking been like, that works.
Right.
That works. It really sets the example. It really fucking plays it against the other one, and people are really gonna get this. And everyone's like, I don't fucking get this.
Let's just talk very briefly about some of the other matches on the card this evening or that evening. Of course, we didn't get the Roman Reigns.
I was like, I didn't bring my notes in here, so I don't even know what matches they were. So
Bianca Bailey.
They added, like, we did our predictions, and then they took one match away and added 3 more.
Yeah, exactly. They added what was it they added? I know they added Sammy KO.
Sammy KO.
Cesaro, Seth, right?
Yes,
Cesaro, Seth, and then
the
the pre-show match, which was the women's tag.
Yep.
Okay, that was a match that happened, the women's tag. Sammy KO is always going to be good, but
we've seen it.
We've seen it so many times.
Which is and I
this
guess
time
KO's
around there
for a
was
little while.
And this time
KO
around,
went away for a week,
right?
And he'll be back this week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so a little while.
Yeah,
of course.
You're not wrong.
But there was no like real build into this. And I think that part of it that annoys me the most with with the story of this whole thing is that there was no follow-up. Like I thought for a minute there, Sammy was going to be sort of like aligning himself with Apollo Crews and Commander Aziz. That's sort of how it was sort of shaping up, especially with KO so dramatically selling that Nigerian nail punch he got to the throat from him.
Oh yeah,
that was good.
And I liked kind of how they worked that into things, but then there was just no, like, you didn't see either of those two on the show. Like, even if they're not aligning with Sammy, you think that maybe it would be to push a KO Apollo feud or something, right? Like, I don't understand what the reasoning was to even include that then. And without that, other than just they're perpetual enemies and you have a slot to fill because SmackDown wants Roman and Hell in a Cell match. Other than that, just like they kind of just shit it out there, right? Like, I guess they can always do a match. Let's just have them do another match. There's no reason.
They had the stipulation, like not too long ago, that they had their last match. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
right.
We
I
all
forgot about that. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I totally forgot about it until
you just now.
Yeah. What was that on? That was on a pay-per-view, right?
I think so.
God,
it
yeah.
wasn't.
I'm gonna look this up.
It wasn't even that. I don't even
because I 100% remember this.
But like, it was definitely a pay-per-view, and it had to have been sometime in 2020, I guess.
And KO won. Sounds right.
Yes.
I think. Was this
Yes.
before the reinvention of Sammy in his current form?
Yes.
I feel like it
Yes,
was right before
it was
that.
It was before the whole conspiracy victim thing. Not conspiracy victim. That was Chris Jericho. But conspiracy victim.
Yeah.
Just without the sign that says, oh no, he had the sign. Never mind. He's just rehashing Chris Jericho's WCW gimmick.
Oh, dude, I made a heel turn a long time ago. Dude.
I was gonna say,
like that's I'm perpetual heel turn. And
made a heel turn when he started growing the beard.
Yeah.
If not before.
I mean, maybe I am rocking a headband. I don't know if
it's not Dior.
No. I'm gonna start getting my face danglies.
The face danglies.
The face danglies on there. But yeah, no. Other matches on the card. Again, Cesaro Seth was fine. It was kind of boring because
it was a good match, but it was surprise roll up.
Yeah. Not the first and only one of the night.
No.
Bobby Drew. There were parts of this match that were good.
At least the Bobby Drew one.
Yeah.
There was MVP.
Mm-hmm. And the match itself was pretty decent. Drew's back. You saw all those pictures. He took a beating. And it was a hard hitting match. There was some stuff in there that was a little too choreographed, like the way some of the tables were set up for some of the spots that came later.
How else are you gonna get there?
I get that. I'm not gonna shit all over the match. It wasn't the worst. I just didn't like the way it ended. It felt like if you're gonna go this route, Bobby should have had a more defining victory, if that makes sense.
It shouldn't have been a cheap roll up.
No, it didn't feel right, and I guess they still are somewhat hot on Drew and want to keep him going, and that's probably the only other thing we need to just quickly talk about: Alexa Bliss, Shayna Baszler. Nia Jax was the star of the match. The whole how Bliss can hypnotize, and she did the whole raising the hands and also the slap of Reggie with the whole Alexa Bliss thing.
Hold on. Can we just talk about how our boy has been getting the shit beat out of him? Like the last few, why y'all beating on Reggie?
Why you slapping him? The nice one. Giving him low blows on Raw last night.
He posted it. He posted a picture on Instagram, and he had a hashtag that was #Save the McNuggets, and I fucking
that's hilarious.
I was dying. I'm like, not the McNuggets, no.
As we know, we're all Team Reggie over here for very good reason. Team Reggie is
gotta be.
Yeah, you gotta be.
I can't wait for him to start being in front of a live crowd and start pulling that shit off in front of the audience.
I think he's gonna be more over than they think. I think Reggie's got a following, and I think they're gonna see what's up with that.
Oh yeah.
I feel bad for Shayna. I mean,
oh man.
What else is there really to say about this whole feud and as much as
they fucked that up. Hold on, they fucked that up. Shayna Baszler the last year, right? The last year and a half since the pandemic started, right? First she turned into a vampire and bit Becky Lynch on the neck. Yeah. That was before the pandemic. And then she got her ass kicked at WrestleMania.
At Mania, I was going to say, yeah. That's
After
really
destroying everybody in the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, that's a dumb booking decision, because what does the Chamber do then? None of it furthers anybody. Nobody is benefiting from that. So
no.
And
Matthew is in the Matrix over there trying to
find the Sami Zayn.
I feel like WWE scrubbed this.
They probably did.
Like either that, or we're like the record has spun, and we're in like just a little like
did we
one degree off of the multiverse. Like now,
man,
it's like,
it's a fucking
all, like,
Mandela effect.
Yeah, it's all last man standing matches. Now there's one booked coming up. Like
no, it happened. There was definitely this is our last match ever. Yeah, this finally ends.
If you remember this, if you are either watching us on Twitch,
I remember it too. Was it WrestleMania? I just don't see the stipulation because they wrestled at Mania.
Maybe it was.
It had to have been Mania.
They've just gotten. I think that was it, and then they've just deleted what the stipulation was on it. They just had a match at Mania, like that.
Yeah.
That's I
maybe
can almost guarantee that's what it is.
Maybe
I've got so many tabs pulled up, and it's just you can't find anything. It's like there was one last match ever, and it was like 2016 or something like that, or 17 or 18. That's the one that I've found. But there was one like this past year.
I wouldn't say this past year, but there was one. I think
more recently than that.
More recently than that, for sure. Yeah. But yeah. We'll move forward because now we were just saying about how like Bobby and Drew and like now we've got this whole thing because this was supposed to be a last kind of match ever type scenario in and of itself with if Drew can't challenge for the title again until Bobby drops it essentially.
No longer that he can never challenge Bobby Lashley for the WWE title again.
That's yes. But this all seems to kind of shift with the possibility of now Drew McIntyre qualifying for the Money in the Bank match.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get too deep into it, I really like for a change, they're making people qualify for the Money in the Bank match. They're not just throwing in 6 random people, calling it a day. And like they're making stories out of it as they try and gain their spots within the match, which
I feel like they've done that. I think they did that last year.
It feels more prominent this year somehow. Maybe
it does.
Yeah.
But it's also more like it's like they used to do with King of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Where you have the qualifying matches on Raw and SmackDown, and then like the rest of the tournament takes place on the pay-per-view. So, or like the semifinals and then the finals.
We were kind of alluding to it earlier, and I know I said it, and I think you agreed with that this year shouldn't be a Drew McIntyre wins the briefcase because now that's the excuse to have the match with Lashley again and like all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
This for me, I think this is the chance to switch with the brand like shifting coming up with the draft and everything. This is the year to put it on Big E.
I think you're right.
This is how you get there, and I think there is mad money in Big E, Bobby Lashley.
I think that Big E is the obvious choice for the Money in the Bank.
I really hope you're right, and I really hope that they think that way too. But I can also see him going this Drew McIntyre route.
I think that's
if they're smart with fans coming back and what like we as fans know Big E would bring to that title picture and having a title shot and like the electricity behind that in front of a live crowd, they're not gonna get that with Drew McIntyre. No. They're not. They're gonna get a reaction. But it's not going to be what they want. We've had people who have been stuck in their houses and very close proximity to their houses for 18 months now.
Mm-hmm.
They're finally getting out. You're finally able to get into an arena, a stadium with people starting now. The last thing you want those people to do is think that or correlate that to reliving the pandemic and putting the belt on Drew McIntyre, putting him back in that when you have the opportunity now to bring something fresh, especially someone like Big E, who with the association with the New Day, which we know has been so strong and crosses over from children to fans like us and beyond,
And
like
video
the spectrum and
gamers
the range and everything. There's so many. The opportunity is fucking right.
Print money right. And I'm glad you brought that up with the association with the New Day, because if I'm not mistaken, it has been booked already, right? We have Bobby and Kofi at Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
At Money in the Bank,
And
they're wrestling at the 2 super shows in Florida and Georgia leading up to that.
I think they
like
go.
The house
I
shows
think they might. If I'm booking the show, and I go back and forth with if they'll do this or not, but I think the smartest thing that they can do, because it's Money in the Bank, is going to be that first, like, where we are back. Yes, they had Mania, what have you, but after Money in the Bank, Thunderdome is gone. We're having, like, live shows.
Full Raws again.
Full Raws, all that type of stuff, right? So I believe that what will happen is they will have Big E win on the night of Money in the Bank, and I think he will cash in that night because it's going to be a start of a new era. I think Kofi will lose, but Kofi will do as much damage as possible, and he will have Lashley dead to rights, and then Big E can come in, and he can cash in Money in the Bank after that Kofi match, maybe even with a little Kofi help. To then,
I don't hate that.
I don't hate it either.
I'm actually kind of like, I kind of hope that that's what happens.
And now you've got the ability to go in like the following night on Raw
and open it with a Big E
promo. A Big E as your champion. Start with fans. A Big E thing with fans and just him coming out, and like, what a way to start the new era. And Lashley can get it back later down the road. He's done a fantastic job.
Absolutely,
as champion.
But this opens. What if Brock comes back?
You did it. You did it, not me.
I brought this evil into the world. Hold on, I'm bringing this evil into the world.
Always me.
What if Brock comes back and attacks Lashley because he is tired of Lashley running his mouth about wanting him? So he's just like, oh, you want me? SummerSlam. But he comes in and he just Suplex City F5, like after the match. Suplex City F5.
After the Kofi match, and then you can have Big E come in and win it. Oh, and now you've set up 2 things. Because, 3 things possibly, really, because you can have, obviously, the Lashley, the grudge match, no belt needed, Lashley, Lesnar, done deal. But after that, let's say Lesnar wins or Lashley wins. You go either way with it. Mm-hmm. That also sets up either Lesnar or Lashley, versus Big E, which I think all of those work.
Yeah.
All of them work.
I agree. All those work. And you know how they're going to fuck it up? This is how.
Goldberg.
Any and all of those might happen. I'm not even going to call a Legends Night on this one. I'm going to say someone is going to have the brilliant fucking idea. Maybe me. Maybe I'm putting this into the booking. They're going to end up having Big E think that he won. They're going to open the briefcase, and he's going to have forgotten that he took the contract out, and he stored his pancakes in the fucking briefcase.
Oh, God, don't
you
do
know
that.
what? I could see that, but I don't see them turning Big E stupid
pancakes
comic like
and ham,
that.
and Otis comes back.
No, I'm gonna veto that idea from the get. I also think one of the reasons they might do this is it's always more interesting when a heel holds the briefcase for a long time. Faces are better suited to cash it in right away.
Pretty quick, yeah.
And I think that's probably, if you're gonna have Big E do it, it needs to be that night or the following night on Raw, or it needs to be quick, because there's not a lot of, I don't know that there's a lot of juice in having Big E come out every week, cut promos. Of course he can do that with the briefcase, but it sort of undermines the power of positivity and the face like kind of just like dynamic that he has.
Of like, let's just go.
Yeah,
that's just exactly.
Well, which is also like the gamer mentality, right? You like you get a power up in a game, you use it, right? You use it to your advantage right away.
Let's put the pieces of the puzzle together, guys. They've got Kofi going up against Bobby at Money in the Bank, and what did they do, of course, on this past Monday for a Hell in a Cell match? Xavier Woods. Bobby Lashley. It's all built in, and now is the time to put the New Day back together, centerpiece by Big E as your world champion in front of crowds.
And that's how when Big E runs out to cash in, if there is a Lesnar, like, because I don't hate, but I normally would hate anything that
I normally hate
back
it too.
Trust me. That. But you could then have Xavier be the one that kind of just like when Big E comes in, he's the one who distracts Lesnar, who just went on that fucking right.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Like
100%.
You have all the players there to be able to make that happen.
Xavier like gets Lesnar to chase him out.
Yeah.
Big E comes in, cashes in.
All three of them are sort of working in tandem to get Big E his moment and sort of like get Big E the moment that Kofi had. And get that
Xavier will someday
and that one day Xavier will have. It's sort of it's a kind of sweet story as well. Like there's heart in it. It's
a feel good wrestling story. We don't get very many of those anymore.
And you need that feel good wrestling story, especially with fans.
Start back with fans.
This pay-per-view.
There's no group better to do it. And
listen, WWE, I know you're listening to us. If you could just chip some money at the Patreon for us, giving you all these ideas.
Need a new computer.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Just top off. We're getting close. Just throw the rest in. We know you got it. You already cut a bunch of people. You got a little bit extra overhead. It's just a computer. It's not someone on your roster.
Just saying.
Do it. Let's talk about that. Of course, WWE had even more releases.
Oh my God.
This past week. Who do we have on the docket? Weren't
the Singh brothers on there?
The Singh brothers, Bollywood Boys.
Sad.
Yeah, it is.
Even Randy Orton tweeted at them, and
did he?
Because they posted something about.
Because they got destroyed by him that one time. Yeah.
2 pay-per-views in a row.
Yeah.
They had those hellish bumps. Deuce, have a good night.
Take it easy, man.
They had those hellish bumps back-to-back pay-per-views, and Randy, they tweeted out something about, well, this was, to make a legend look good, and he was just like, and to earn respect, and he was just like, there was respect long before these 2 bumps happened. He's just like, I have a feeling I'll see you guys down the road.
I get the feeling he's not as much of a shitbag in real life anymore. Yeah,
I'm not throwing his dick on people's shoulders.
Right.
He's not shitting in people's bags like X-Pac did.
But yeah, it's sad to see those 2 let go. I think they're gonna be able to get work on the indies. They're gonna be able to. I think they'll land okay. I think they'll be all right. And now that Jinder's got 2 new dudes anyway, so he doesn't need them. He's got these.
He's got the big guys.
Yeah.
Okay, I got the list.
Tony Nese.
It was really good to see Jinder though last night. I will say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tony Nese and his abs, Arya Daivari, Fandango, and Tyler Breeze.
Oh, come on! You've gotten rid of Is there anybody that was on Southpaw Regional Wrestling that's even employed by the company now?
No, they're purging everybody.
Southpaw might be the reason.
John Cena is the only one.
Seth Rollins in season 2.
Okay, Seth Rollins in season 2.
There can't be many more. Miz,
Porkchop Jones. He's still.
Yeah.
He's just Jason Jordan's just backstage. Okay, now we gotta think
as far
about
as
this.
active wrestlers, Malibu Al, he's he's still around. We're running out. We're running out of a lot of them though. Really,
Xavier and
Big E. I almost, if you look at season 1 though, it's even more limited. There's only really season 1 would just be Cena.
Ugh.
Because Malibu Al's second season, right?
Second season.
Yeah, second season.
Malibu Al's Station Wagon Emporium.
Yeah. So
One of you has that hat, don't you?
I have it.
You have it. I knew one of you had
it's
it.
wearing.
You don't have.
I think is that it from season 1?
Hold on. Now I got to look up Southpaw Regional
I
Wrestling.
know. I'm sorry. I'm doing it.
No, it's okay. But also August Gray and Killian Dane.
Yeah, that's sad. Which led me and Duncan to have the conversation of, oh no, they're gonna cut
Drake again.
They're gonna cut Drake again, aren't they?
Yeah, I thought that too. Actually, I read something and it was like, God, if they do that, that's just sad.
And Everrise, who were getting the fuck over and
super over,
and just had like a big thing with the whole Hit Row Records dudes.
Yeah, the Hit Row guys. Yeah.
Like,
dude, and that shit was good. It was actually like, it was hitting with me.
It was one of the few things that on NXT was actually like clicking in character wise. Ugh. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some of the Southpaw dudes. And
so Fandango,
I'm looking it up.
TJ Perkins, John Cena, Heath Slater, Rhino, Renee Young,
gone.
Chris Jericho, Daniel Bryan, Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins was second season.
Seth Rollins is there. Dolph Ziggler is still there.
Ziggler? Yeah, Ziggler did have that bit.
He was Nikki Lee Sticks.
Yeah, it's stupid. It was one of the worst bits
It was
about
dumb.
it. For the guy that what's hilarious about that too, just really quick to interject, you know how like Ziggler does like stand-up comedy in his spare time, like he wants to be a stand-up comic. He is the least funny part of Southpaw Regional Wrestling. Like,
yep. Yeah. Oh, and then Michael Hayes was Dewey, doing it for Dewey.
I guess you could technically
Renee Beret and Danny Bandana. Oh man! All right, so we're all due for a Southpaw rewatch. I think
so.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be Southpaw Sunday.
We should. You know what we should do? We should do a watch along with.
We should.
I was gonna say we should do that as a bonus content.
Because I mean, even both seasons is what, maybe an hour.
We could do it all.
Like
let's set that up.
Yeah, well, we'll set that up. That would be fun. Like we get
apparently it's 25 minutes.
Right. Like we could do the whole thing in no time at all. And drink a couple mimosas or something. Yeah. Watch some Southpaw.
Let's do it.
I like it. It sucks about all the releases. It really does.
But I think we'd all be lying if we said we didn't know it was coming. I think wrestlers knew. I'm not saying these wrestlers knew, and I don't think this is also still the end of it. I don't know who else they get rid of, but I don't think that this.
They have a deep ass roster. I really don't think.
Yeah. And that's something that we all did say for a long time. You know, which is. Again, I mean,
they were hoarding talent.
Livelihood. They were hoarding talent, and they were not using them, and they were fully stacked, and they were too stacked, and they didn't know what to do with people. I want to think the best that they're getting rid of people, which will give a good majority of these people who deserve it and are good and work hard an opportunity. But let's be honest, there's only so many, chances
spots
right now
there's only so many spots on a show, right? Like you can only put so much stuff on TV. And I was gonna ask you this, Duncan, and if it's something that we can't talk about, then please say so. But you being such good friends on a personal level with old Reggie, has he expressed any worry like anybody can get caught or concern or?
Not really, only because I think in his mind, he's just kind of like, I know this opportunity won't last forever.
He feels lucky to be there in general, I know.
Make the best out of it no matter how long it lasts.
Right.
So,
right.
I don't think he's really that worried because they're taking care of him.
Yeah, and it seems like Vince is a big fan, and he's got a lot of backstage support.
He's got a lot of backstage support. He's got a lot of he's got a lot of fans, and he's like, and there's some stuff that I can't talk about that I can talk about off air, but like, it just like, I think that, in my opinion, we have only just begun to see what
Sir Reginald is capable of.
Yeah, I'm like, Reggie Mania is gonna be running wild.
Dude, it will. I mean, the dude is he's got all the charisma, and if you watch him in the ring, there's nothing more entertaining than seeing that dude flip around like he does.
Right.
I know
Hardcore.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. And you know, my condolences to everybody that has lost their jobs if you ever hear this, but you know, it always sucks.
Absolutely.
But it does leave so many like weird things like in question, like with 205 Live being absolutely gutted now, and
does 205 Live, I mean, I guess like we've been to the NXT tapings, like we've seen them tape it, but like, yeah, there's nothing on 205 Live
the
anymore.
only thing I've heard, I'm sure you've heard the same thing, is the reason it's being kept around is because of Hulu and some sort of contractual obligation that WWE is getting some decent money from Hulu to air 205 Live. That is what's being told. I think that's kind of the same way with like main event. And perfect segue. Main event has been interesting lately, and it seems like because of all the releases that we've had over the last year or so, over a year now, they're starting to realize that we don't have like a lot of top level challengers for say Roman or say Lashley. Like we're running out of dudes that we can, and women obviously, but
we're running out of talent to elevate,
especially on the main roster right
Correct.
now. And then when you've got rid of so many people that were in those positions, they're obviously going to have to bring people up from NXT, like as in that whole thing. And this whole story, like I'm sure you guys have heard that Karrion Kross and Bronson Reed both backstage at Monday Night Raw. Both had match last 2 weeks, and then was it just Karrion Kross that had a match? He's had 2 matches on main event now.
Kross has had 2. Well, he's had 2 dark matches. One of them aired on main event. I don't know if the second one aired on main event.
I don't know that either.
I think only one of them aired so far.
But Reed had a match.
Reed also had a match on main event.
So then you got, like those are 2 people that they're obviously interested in getting to that level. What's weird apparently I haven't seen it, but with the main event match for Karrion Kross, they did like none of the entrants.
None of the entrants, and Scarlett wasn't with him.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
Like this is like this. Like this is the worst.
Textbook WWE main roster.
You have something that is tailor made. It is this entrance is first Raw in particular, right?
Yes.
Like Raw in particular.
This is red.
Is red and Raw. Like I don't know how much truth that they like and how like closely they like try and stick to this these days, but originally SmackDown was supposed to have more of the sporting feel, and Raw was supposed to have more of the
that kind of
sports.
That kind of just go away.
Yeah, I think that kind of just went away. It went away the minute that SmackDown saw the popularity of the Fiend and then wanted him over on that brand before he went back again. And all that.
Then they burnt that literally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But how weird is that though? Like if you're gonna introduce like Kross to non-NXT fans for a more main roster like appeal and get people used to him before he gets on there, why the hell are you not using that entrance? Which is one of the strongest things he has.
Like they had the music, and then he just kind of like did the angry walk to the ring.
Yeah,
and that was it. And like none of the smoke, none of the, and like, look, it's wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
You need the show and the production element to it.
Yep.
And we've always had that with every entrance that was memorable, right? The Brood, Undertaker, Edge, fucking
Shawn Michaels to a degree. I mean,
right? Like anybody who had a big entrance that, like Goldberg, like anybody whose entrance is very memorable.
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily because of the person, but because of the effect used.
100%. Aleister Black was getting to that level. Like,
yeah.
And his entrance was super cool, but at the same time, like, I don't know that you do that every single entrance.
That's big pay-per-view. That's like Demon Balor shit.
Yes,
like,
correct.
That's kind of how I would look at that. But
I agree.
But yeah, if they were, do we want Kross on the main roster? Do we want Bronson Reed on the main roster? And the other name that's been spotted backstage, Shotzi Blackheart. Do we want any of these people on the main roster?
Shotzi, did you see doubled down on her? Jericho recently commented on certain female wrestlers talking shit about his bump off the top of the cage, and he basically said, I'll remember and we'll remember, and basically, like, we won't be hiring you at AEW, like he kind of like alluded to that.
Okay.
And definitely pointed it at the women wrestlers, and then Shotzi, who had been reposted the gif of like the woman falling back into the mattress, right after that, and doubled down on it, which I thought was pretty hilarious.
Good for her.
Yeah, I thought that was fucking great.
I can see Shotzi working on the main roster personally.
Shotzi works main roster.
And they need it.
Talking about intros too, you do that tank intro type thing. You do that on big pay-per-views or something like that. You don't do it every time, but you do it. But you do,
because they're already killing it on NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yes, they are. They need it. The women's divisions on both main rosters are sparse, to say the least. Like, who does Bianca really have to challenge her right now? She's not already kind of like, I guess Sasha again, but she's already done. They've already done that. They've done that.
They headlined WrestleMania with that. Like, how do you do that better?
Like, exactly. And Sasha's been a little bit absent for a while. Obviously, we just had this thing with Bayley. I guess Carmella. Okay, but we need some fresh blood, right? Like, so the question is, I pose to you guys, more of like what you want to happen, not what will happen. But who do you pull up to the main roster from NXT to kind of like, and this is both men's and women's, either brand, where do you put them? Who do you bring up? But what would you like to see, and who would you like to see being brought up to the main roster in spite of all of the recent, releases? And
I think Shotzi's perfect for main roster.
I think so too. And I'm not opposed to Karrion Kross. I just don't know who he drops it to in NXT.
He doesn't have to drop it to anybody. He can just leave it.
That is a very good point.
Or he can do like Kevin Owens did, and he can show up with the fucking title.
I kind of want that. Like, because we need some more of that brand synergy.
Yeah.
Like, I think like little things like that help with that scenario.
I think it's, and this doesn't fully go with, it goes to an extent right now, but he was already on the main roster. I think they'll bring Finn back.
I think Finn's coming back to
especially with a crowd, and this is not also again NXT, but I mentioned earlier, and so I just don't want to forget it. I think they're going to bring I think they ruined the Fiend, but I think they're going to bring him back in front of a crowd.
I think you're right.
It's going to be the trifecta. They're going to do it one more time.
Well, they have to bring it back
because of what's happening with Alexa.
Yep.
But it's going to get a huge pop in the crowd.
I think when it's time for both the Fiend and this like haunted Alexa to go away, that they'll do it together.
And they should. Yeah.
Yeah. Banish the spooky shit together.
Yep.
Right. And then they can both be gone for a little while
and come back with a slight reinvention of some sorts, or more, but just back to their kind of older characters. Like you can do Swamp Rocking Chair Bray again. You can do Alexa Bliss as the bitch or whatever. Like again, like none of those things. You can bring both those things back, no problem.
Yeah.
And I think
But
fans
as far
kinda
as
pop for
like
that.
As far as NXT,
Yeah,
I think
I got one.
go ahead.
Dexter Loomis.
Okay.
For some reason, I can see him working more of a Raw, right? But I can see that gimmick being a little bit more of what they could use. I kind of look at him like almost like Elias in a weird way. Like Elias was that one.
See that?
Was that
I
one
hope they
exception?
fire Jackson Riker.
Yeah, and he looks even stupider now with his dumb bald head.
No, he just looks more like a Nazi.
Yeah, he does. But he was balding, so I get it.
I mean, yeah, that's why some of us choose the bald
There's
life.
nothing against that, but like the dude had like a good physique. He has a good physique. I don't know why anybody should care about him because they haven't told me why I should care about him. Like,
and to be honest, I don't give a shit about Elias anymore.
I care more about Elias than I do him.
I care more about Elias, but that's like not really saying anything.
No, but at least he's capable of a funny moment here or there. I think he's perpetually going to be in the lower mid card, and that is just what Elias is. And sometimes you need those guys. Yeah. So
I got one for
sure.
Candace.
Candace is better suited than Johnny.
Yes.
Candace
LeRae is main roster material. And look, I love Johnny Wrestling.
Of course.
Right? But I don't see in the same way that it didn't work when they tried it in the past.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't, I don't know. He's that good, but for some reason, he's never going to get the shake that he deserves on the main roster.
Adam Cole. I know this is the one that goes back and forth in my brain because I can see it working and I can't see it working. I can see it getting ruined.
Adam Cole is, for me, in the same boat as Johnny Gargano.
That's kind of why I brought it up. Yeah.
Because they don't have the look that Vince wants for the main roster.
Just
but they
not
have the
big enough.
Fucking talent for it. They're not big enough, and it's the dumbest shit in the world. It's so stupid. But like we've all read and heard the reports that came out this week that WWE is now looking for more
big dudes. Remember when we were told very quickly, quick interjection. Remember when we were told the badass Billy Gunn was small? Like we were told that he was like a middle of the range to smaller guy.
A smaller guy.
Holy fuck, that's wrong.
Yeah, dude, I fucking met him. Remember after Double or Nothing? Which one was it? Double or Nothing?
Double or Nothing.
In Vegas, and dude is gigantic. Especially, I saw the picture the other day, and I was like, I look fucking tiny. I'm not a big guy by any, but I'm like just under 6'1".
But he towers over guys that were super popular back in that era, like a Bret Hart, or like he towers over Bret Hart,
like a fucking brick house.
Towers over Shawn Michaels, and even those guys. Bret Hart in particular was another one in that mold that you saw through your mind's eye of being somehow like a little dude, like compared to the other guys that were on the roster, like. I guess like later down the road, like a Goldberg or whatever, right? But for some reason, you look at these guys and if you, like you said, like if you're standing next to them, like holy shit, you just get this whole different appreciation. Adam Cole he's just under 6 foot, I think it is, right? Like
Bret Hart was 6 foot.
Okay. But he was wide. Those shoulders, all that, you know.
Shawn Michaels, 6'1".
Okay.
Let's look up Cole baby. Build height 6 foot.
So he's probably 5'10", 5'11".
5'11",
Yeah, but it's just it's crazy to me. Like just because of that, he won't get probably those pushes that he deserves. And again, Adam Cole could be the face of WWE if they let him.
And so could Johnny Gargano.
I think I agree with that.
And that's the problem. But like, here's the thing. Okay, how tall is Finn Balor? This is a good question. 5'11".
Yeah.
Finn is 5'11". He is 1 inch taller than Johnny Gargano.
But why do we see that as so different between the two of them? As because I think of Finn Balor as being main event WWE superstar. I don't with Johnny Gargano for some reason. Yeah. Is it because they've put that on us? Like,
yes.
That's the only thing I can really think of.
I think it's because Johnny Gargano has only been given those 2 opportunities on the main roster,
right? And
one of them was with Ciampa, and then Ciampa got injured, and so that sort of took that away and took away his opportunity on the main roster. So he's never really been given a fair shot at showing that he can hack it on the main roster. And I think the thing is that they've built Johnny Gargano as this
NXT
sort of
underdog indie sensation for NXT
and now
in a way.
Chicken shit heel.
There's that. Yeah.
So it's kind of tough. Dude, he's brilliant. And the character work that he's doing in AEW or in NXT rather, is genius.
It's fantastic. But will main roster fans get that?
Dude, I don't know, but the way, the Gargano way in NXT, it's one of the best things going, especially if you look at it all encompassing.
And the stuff with Indy and all that.
Indy and Candice and Austin Theory and all of that, it's good. It's really good. So I can see it working. I can see it not working.
What do you think?
I think Io Shirai.
Io Shirai can work on the main roster.
Tony and possibly Tony Storm.
I think they could.
If you're trying to, we were talking earlier about bringing fresh females to the roster to compete, and
she's a good shout. She's a good.
Tony
shout.
Storm hasn't had that NXT, the greatness that that Io has. She did have it. What was it in UK, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little bit there, but I think if you're talking women that you would bring up, I think there's that. I mean, Shotzi is number one, but I think if you want to dig a little bit more, I think Io and then maybe Tony. I think
Dakota Kai.
I think beyond Dakota Kai, yeah.
I think what they can do and what they will do is they're pretty much going to raid the entire NXT women's roster, and then they're going to build up an entire new crop on NXT because they have all of these fantastic independent women like Gigi Dolan and all of the other ones that aren't getting, Mercedes Martinez can get a chance to shine. Mercedes Martinez could actually thrive on the main roster.
100%.
Dude, put Mercedes and Shayna in a tag team.
Dude, yeah. That's
you want to talk about a badass tag team.
That's sort of money right there. I'll tell you what else I think
talked about this, and he would never want to go there, and talked about him working out in a fucking garage, in the Florida heat.
We're talking about me, yeah.
Right.
I mean, Vince would want someone like him.
Old man Ciampa,
Yeah, you would want that.
He's short though. He's too short.
Interestingly enough, I wouldn't see him in an obviously main event, and I see him getting his due in more championship matches as we've seen now recently. But Pete Dunne, they could I could see that. I don't think it's going to happen soon, but I could eventually see it. I mean, especially with him fucking shredding himself out.
Both those guys, I see.
Because him and Ciampa are both very tough, hard hitting.
Both those guys I see as U.S. or Intercontinental champions. That's
exactly.
And I don't know that there's much beyond that they can get to. Never say never. Eddie Guerrero happened. But
Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio. Never say never, but the chances are a little bit lower than maybe a Karrion Kross.
The problem is WWE is really trying to they want to push the big dudes again, and there's just not a lot of giant dudes in wrestling.
No, because you can't do steroids all the time anymore.
Right. So you got to just be a naturally.
Naturally,
yeah,
you just got rid of Braun.
And Braun's he's like pushing himself to 375. If you've seen it,
dude, he looks ridiculous.
He's fucking yoked.
I have
not
seen
on my
it.
way to 375. Jesus, dude.
Right?
Yeah, that's insane.
I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I just tipped 175. I'm like,
he
179.
shits bigger than me.
Right?
He shits bigger than me. I'm sure.
He does.
I'm sure.
Well, dude, you just got to be a naturally giant dude like Brody King now.
Right.
Yeah.
But then get toned as well and get lean and all the other things. One of the people that I do think I'm actually really happy for, and I think some reason this is going to work. We got a lot of shit all over the internet when it first happened, but Nikki Cross has a new gimmick, and she is now portraying a superhero type a la Molly Holly, or say the Hurricane.
Rosie, the superhero in training.
Yeah.
Which
indeed.
I fucking did not hate it.
No,
I think it's
now they're calling her Ash.
Ash.
Cross.
It's an acronym, right?
Yeah, it's amateur superhero.
Yeah.
Or aspiring superhero.
Aspiring super. I think I think she's spelling it with an extra H, so there's another H.
If you think of it the blue, and the gold and stuff, it's almost like Kick-Ass a little bit.
Yeah.
It was green and you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that.
I don't hate it.
I don't know.
hate it. I think
it's better than Piper Niven's new name.
I like the way they're doing that a little bit, though. It's not like she has endorsed this new name.
No, I agree. It has, and it's going to, I think, turn out with Piper Niven becoming a main roster star by destroying Eva Marie.
I think that's the whole purpose of Eva Marie right now.
And you know what? I'm okay with that.
That's how you use someone like that.
Yes.
When do you bring in what the fuck's his name? Brock Jr.
Oh, Parker Bordeaux.
He's probably got a while though. He needs to be in.
Yeah, but he'll be on NXT sooner rather than later. He'll be doing the coconut shows once they go back on the road.
Yeah, you're probably right there.
Yeah. I will say this. The one thing that I fucking loved it last night on Raw, and I will say it's first time in a long time I've said that I fucking have loved something on Raw, but Matt Riddle.
Oh yeah,
doing the Randy Orton. So the backstage segment where he was standing there and he was doing the whole Randy Orton thing, and Damian Priest comes up to him and is talking to him like he's Riddle, and he's pretending that he's not Matt Riddle, that he's Randy Orton, and he's like, but he's like, oh, I was gonna go get the new burger from this burger place or whatever, and then all of a sudden Riddle's like, hey man, it's me, it's Riddle, I've been here the whole time.
It's me,
breaks the character. He's like, it's me, and he's like, I'm not Randy, and he's like, yeah,
I know.
I got that.
And then he immediately goes back into being Randy Orton. But he totally had all of the entire character. He had
he nails
face,
him.
He nails him. The breathing. He had the whole thing down. And
then the note later. The note later
Oh my
to
God,
Adam
the
Pearce. The note.
I thought
Aloha, bros.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. I actually was fucking laughing out loud when I was watching those. And then even in that main event when he was wrestling and he got down and he was doing the
yeah,
he's doing the Viper, he was
a good main event to boot, to be honest. It was a good main event
to boot. I actually thought when he got picked up in that fireman's carry for a second,
he was going to RKO,
swing it into an RKO.
Yep.
And I was kind of really hoping for that on McIntyre, but it didn't happen. But I will say that that whole Riddle did an amazing job. Made me super fucking happy.
Who would have
made me
thought?
Really enjoy the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I will say this: I would never buy it, but I do fucking like the
RK Bro shirt.
The snake with the fucking hair,
Yeah.
the Riddle hair, like the fucking logo.
It is
The
funny.
snake stallion.
Who'd have thought that Randy Orton would be part of like one of our favorite things on Monday Night Raw, like
in 2021.
In 2021. What do you guys briefly? What do you guys make of the Diamond Mine? I know we're going back to NXT a little bit here, but cool thing for Roderick Strong, I suppose.
I mean, I guess it depends on where they go with it.
Right, it may be too soon.
Kind of like anything else. Like we haven't watched anything that's going on NXT tonight, so we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So
that could be. I think there's some promise there, though.
There is, but didn't we just have the discussion about there's too many factions in NXT?
It's happening again, isn't it? Yeah. It's. But they sort of need it for him, and here's the thing about the Diamond Mine. Weirdly, back to our earlier conversation, I can see that working as a main event or main roster faction.
Better than the Undisputed Era would have.
They would have just ruined the Undisputed Era so much that I'm scared of it. I don't mind if they ruin the Diamond Mine, but you can give them a go, like that you can maybe try it and see what happens. That's a tough one. Just because obviously the Undisputed Era is the better of the two factions. I just don't know. I just don't know. Yeah, I still don't know that ever works really on the main roster. Like
I don't know if it does either.
Yeah, but maybe the Diamond Mine with its sort of MMA influence, maybe that can maybe you bring in a Shayna, maybe you bring in some of these people that have a little bit more of that background, and you can make kind of craft that. Like, I don't know. It was just a thought.
Yeah, it's not a bad thought.
No, another thought I just had, completely unrelated, but we were talking about women's roster. We have to assume and be ready for Becky Lynch is going to come back.
Yep.
Eventually.
Happy.
And
sooner rather than later.
And it's going to happen in front of a crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not wasting that.
Nah, they're not wasting that.
Not wasting that.
That's could she come back in, win Money in the Bank?
Yeah, I suppose she theoretically could.
That might not be a bad way to do it.
Yeah, she could give up her firstborn for the briefcase.
And that's the thing is, like, do they just bring her back and immediately put her back and, like, have her win the title or put her back in the title scene? Because how hectic is her schedule going to be as a new mom?
That's true. That's true.
And she's got... I'm just gonna say she's got the money enough to have fucking night nanny. She's got money enough to. Seth
I know.
Does too. I'm not saying as a mom that she doesn't want to, but like, they're not gonna force her to come back. She's gonna do it on her.
Absolutely.
But she's gonna want to wrestle.
Yeah, I just don't know if she's gonna want.
It's going to be being on the road.
Yeah, I just don't know that she's going to want to have the necessarily full-time...
Put her on a Brock Lesnar schedule type thing, maybe?
No, not necessarily a Brock Lesnar schedule, but like...
I think in between.
Yeah.
Some of those guys have a deal where, like, they don't wrestle house shows.
And she's a big enough star. She's a big enough start off.
Yes. She could absolutely be like, I only do TV and pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't wrestle on every TV or pay-per-view.
On TV, yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Which, much like, and I don't know if we're ready to turn here, we had talked about on a couple of episodes ago, Kenny Omega.
Yes, we are about that.
Not having, not wrestling as much unless it meant something and showing up and doing things. Mm-hmm. And on this last episode of Dynamite, I will say, I thought that was a fucking great match between him and Jungle Boy.
He showed up and it meant things. That's the important part is that if he is wrestling as injured as we've heard, you couldn't tell.
No, you couldn't tell. And Jungle Boy did a fucking amazing job.
I love his new maroon gear. I like his new maroon gear.
I like the new maroon gear too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will say there was one point at the beginning where production didn't cut away in time. Not that they maybe would have known, but with his mom and sister there, so he got into his corner after he had the huge entrance and everyone's doing the it was big feels, big, and then Kenny's music hit and he's in the corner and he turns and you saw him, he waved to his mom and his sister.
I didn't catch that.
It was right, and it was right as there, and he like waved to him and said hi, and I was like, you know what, man, for a 24-year-old fucking dude, I was like, facing
amazing.
Kenny Omega on a fucking I was like, you know what? I was like, you know how much that would mean? Like, I had like my heartstrings for a second being like,
with your mom and
like,
sisters.
And his mom, and he lost his dad, like, famous or not, like, that's a big deal. And then, like, to have his mom and like, he's doing it, he's wrestling like one of the best in the world to have ever fucking done it,
Is it just me, or was I the only one that wanted to hug Jungle Boy's mom too? Like, for some reason, she just had like a very kind look to her, and I wanted to
like one of your friends' moms that you always went and hung out at their house, and she always gave you a big hug when you came over.
Yeah.
And you can see where he gets the hair, obviously, too. Like, that's what's funny as well.
Yeah.
But it was a good.
Well, speaking of the hair, I thought that was great as it started. Remember when Kenny had him in the corner and he's like,
he did
fucking with his
playing
hair,
with his hair,
and then walks away. That was fucking hilarious. I thought that. But match overall, man, I thought it was great. Even with the run-ins, I thought the whole storytelling across the board was great. The wrestling between both of them was great. I think it did nothing more than continue to elevate Jungle Boy.
That was what do they say? Moving up in defeat, or whatever that term is.
Yeah, it's losing upwards.
Losing upwards. 100% that.
And I just absolutely love it. Ingrained it even more. Kenny walking to the ring when he first came out, and he had all the belts just draped, and you're just like, what a fucking dickhead. Like, that's what you're just like, and that's like, you're nailing it, dude. You're
such an asshole.
And still one of my favorite things about that is even before that, they did like the package, right? Like the video package of the Kenny Omega Don like thing. And every time they do the clip of where Don, I forget who he screwed over, if it was maybe it was the Moxley match, or it doesn't really matter, but like they changed the "fuck you, Don," to "thank you, Don," thank you, Don. Like every time that gets me, awesome. It always gets me that one. Oh, but yeah, you're right. Like, how much of a dickhead, more of a dickhead can he be? Do we end this Omega thing now? Like, I don't know. Like, because it seems like, I guess we're probably going to get are we getting a Christian Omega thing? Is that what?
I mean, with the way that things kind of ended there.
Feels like it, right?
Seems like that's what you're going to get. And I don't think Christian's the one to take it. I think I'm still hanging on for Hangman, who I think opened the show again.
Apparently had to get his head stapled closed after last week's.
Oh, did he?
Dynamite. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Not this past week, but the one prior.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I saw a thing about that earlier, and I was just like,
fuck.
Shit.
But this past week, he beat Powerhouse Hobbs, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I love that move. Well, what the hell is it called? The one... it's like the reverse pile driver thing.
Deadeye.
I love that as a finisher. Like, I love the buckshot lariat, but to me, the Deadeye should be the finisher. The buckshot lariat should be the setup.
It should be the setup, and then
I agree.
Pick them up.
I totally agree.
Yep.
Yeah. Overall, it was a much better Dynamite than we've had in the past few weeks.
And I think that they're actually, I think there were a lot of factors. I think booking was one of it, coming off of pay-per-view. I kind of talked about that the last time we had a show, just because I was saying Denver doesn't get great wrestling because it's always either after a pay-per-view or
you guys get screwed.
Like the one after Super Show after SummerSlam, or the Dynamite I went to that was after. We don't get a lot of them, the good ones, and the draft before that. I just get fucking shit on all the time. But I'm fortunate enough to be able to travel and go see fucking good wrestling, so I can't fucking complain. And
true.
But I think there's the storytelling beyond that. The fact that they were on the Friday nights after SmackDown, and they were pre-taping a bunch of things, and as you all talked about on a show when I wasn't on, the fact that, you know, crowds get tired and things like that. It can just
wrestling
be
burnout happens. Like after if I'm watching, if I'm a WWE fan or a fan of both, right? I don't necessarily want to watch 2 hours of Raw and then immediately have to follow it with another 2 hours of wrestling. Like that's a big ask of wrestling fans.
Dude, it's a lot.
Yeah, and I think now we're seeing that uptick, which is the uptick of, okay, we had no Friday, then we had the Saturday,
which already did way better
Wednesday.
numbers.
Now it's on the road. Now is when you fucking kick it into gear. Just the way we've talked about, we spent well over half the show talking about WWE, which we almost never do.
Never do,
and,
yeah.
And
Deuce is going to be mad.
And it was fucking well deserved. And I think that that's because they're gearing up and they're getting fucking back on the road. And as we talked about, they're about to be back in front of fans. When we talked about Big E and New Day and all of these things, Becky, and like I think as wrestling fans, like we're in for a good bit of wrestling and storytelling and
some cool shit coming our way.
One more time, back to back, fucking head to head competition. The promo that Kingston cut off the air.
Oh, that was awesome.
Like, I think this is all setting up to being back on the fucking road.
Yep.
Everyone having their fucking, battle swords drawn and like, let's go. And you know what? I will say that I think all of this on both sides is going to be best for fucking business.
Couldn't agree more. One of the things, though, that I would say that I was a little bit confused of on Dynamite, which again was overall a pretty good show. They had at one point, it was before like a Matt Sydal match, they had Vicky Guerrero come out with Andrade. And the previous week, I believe they had suggested that Andrade and Vicky were going to be making a big announcement on this week's show. They came out to make that big announcement. They were cut off, and the announcement was never made later on in the show. Is that them changing their minds, waiting for a crowd to make a big announcement? And if so, what's that big announcement?
I think it's Zelina.
I think it's Tia Trinidad.
Yeah.
I think you're 100% right. And it would be so fitting. And what if deal too? Because hey, who's she married to? Who has been heavily rumored going to the company? Wouldn't it make sense to reunite Zelina, Tia Trinidad, and Andrade with, reunite them, and then also bring in Tommy End?
That would be.
And then they can both be on the road together. They could both do,
Fucking do it.
Fucking
do it.
I'm so in. I think we all are with that.
I fucking absolutely love it. And I think that then gets Vicky out of the way.
Me too.
A little bit, which is needed.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking needed in my mind.
I think the stuff with Nyla works. Like, her and Nyla work together. I don't mind that.
I don't mind that. I don't like her and Andrade.
No. It also just doesn't need to be there. His English is good enough. He can cut the promos he needs to be able to cut. And he doesn't need to cut a lot of promos anyway. He can
let it speak for himself. And he's a good character. Even without wrestling, the way he carries himself as the character and his mannerisms, like he's fucking good enough at that, but he is good enough. He speaks English well enough to be able to cut a good enough promo for wrestling right now, and I think that will only get better. So give him that, and I think AEW wants to give him that opportunity because I think they know that was something big that held him back in WWE. So I think they will give him that, but I think I think that's a step in the right direction. I don't disagree with anything that you just said, Owen.
And if you really, really want to have him align with a Latin like manager type, put him with Alex Abrahantes.
Oh yeah,
like that would work tremendously. Like the stuff that he's been doing with Penta and like being an asshole and like like playing into all that. I feel like you could separate him from those guys and put him with Andrade, and that would work well as well. But that's a little far fetched. The other just very brief thing I want to bring up, because we're about at that time where we get out of here for the evening, but the other brief thing I wanted to bring up is that Samoa Joe has been talking as of today and says he absolutely will wrestle again.
Mm-hmm. And did you see that he also named a few of his opponents that he would like to face?
I did not, and please indulge me.
So he had mentioned that he would love to face Pete Dunne.
Ooh.
And
fuck,
that's heavy hitting.
That's a money match.
Pete Dunne. Hold on, let me see if I can. Let me just pull it up real quick.
I'm gonna guess some. All right, if he said Pete Dunne, I'm gonna guess maybe he said like a Ciampa. That would fit.
Maybe
because I could fuck with that match.
That would be a great match.
I mean, he's got a long history with Balor. I could see him wanting to maybe do another one with him again. Oh, and by the way, really quickly, Shinsuke, his whole thing right now is hilarious with the Rick Boogs or whatever he is.
Oh, Boogs, yeah.
And sad Baron Corbin watching like his crown music.
Sad
Baron Corbin might be my new thing, like my new favorite thing.
I like sad Baron Corbin more than I liked our idea of French chef Baron Corbin.
Baron Corbin, yeah. I like sad Baron Corbin. He's on the same level. Sad Baron Corbin is like grumpy Bret Hart. They're on the same level. Grumpy Bret Hart. I think
they just trademarked Happy Corbin.
Yeah, they're doing something with it.
I think hold on. I'll look I read this.
That's awesome. Okay,
Happy
so
who'd he say?
He name dropped Karrion Kross, Pete Dunne, Walter.
Ooh, fuck him and Walter.
Oh God. Right? He's just like, people just want to see two big hosses go at it.
I mean, I do.
Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bronson Reed. And he did talk a bunch of shit about Bronson Reed. He's like, Bronson Reed, he's like, he can get it. He's just like, he wants to get some. He's like, the Aussies always want some. It's just like, so. And I would love to see those two.
Yeah.
That would be fucking good.
That's a Haas match for the ages. And Haas, like Haas's that can move too, like, and do cool stuff.
Dude, because Bronson Reed, big boy, can fucking move.
Yeah, he can. And Joe's always been super agile for his size.
Yeah. You used to not be on Team Joe.
People change, Duncan.
I know. I'm one of them. Like, I have changed as well. Like, we have always changed. But I remember you were just
like all the Samoans now. I used to hate all the Samoans. Now I like them all. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So applications were entered into the trademark database on Tuesday, 6/29.
Okay.
For Happy Corbin, Nikki Ash, and World Class Championship Wrestling.
World Class Championship Wrestling.
WCCW.
Interesting.
That was the old Texas promotion.
Yeah.
Yep. So, but Happy Corbin, how great is that? If
Happy
he's
Corbin,
sad and they call him Happy Corbin.
That's a gimmick they can fucking run with. Have him change his music too to be like Bailey's old music or something. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Also,
give him the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing.
He's just
as I was looking that up, I saw the news that today was apparently Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch got married. Finally.
Yes, congratulations to those two. They looked like they were on a beach in Hawaii or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
it did look like that.
Seth,
Wouldn't surprise
Looks
me.
like they were both doing CrossFit for their wedding day.
Of course they
in
were.
Hawaii. Yeah.
Lame.
Yeah.
Oh, one more piece of just quick news. Did you see how Nikki Bella had to apologize to the family of Chyna?
Yes, because she called her a man.
Yeah, it was from like some
Did
tweet or some. No, it was like a comment on a reality show or something from like 2013 or like it was old, but like Nikki Bella at the time I guess said something along the lines of "We can't tell if that's a woman or a man," and threw that out there, and I guess that just caught up with her. Had to make an apology.
Did you guys watch? And I guess we should talk about this maybe. We can talk about it next time. I know it's getting later, but
Yeah.
did you watch the Vice Versa?
I have not.
You haven't?
That's the
Okay.
one. That's the one on
China?
China. Yeah, I have not watched that one yet.
Man, so I watched it and it was sad, man.
It's pretty
It
dark.
was
That's what I've
really
heard. Like it
fucking
was
sad.
heavy.
It was really heavy, and like being able to see the
downfall.
I mean, it's not just the downfall, but fuck WWE for what they did to her.
Oh,
Fuck
man.
them. Fuck Trips for what he did to her.
That's awful.
I mean,
And Stephanie.
That didn't fucking help. It didn't have to go down the way it did, even if the outcome was them still being together. But the fact that, I think that the whole porn thing was held over her for so long.
Way too long.
Way too fucking long, especially when WWE was selling fucking sex and things like this. And just the mental toll, and like you can see she wanted to get away and try and do something new, and it was
feels like she was
really
maybe
hard.
shackled to
it's
her.
really tough to watch.
She wasn't even able to grow because she was shackled by her what the reputation of a company was sort of making her to be. Is that accurate? Or?
Yeah, and it's really, and what else is really tough is the people who are making that documentary about her. It's a lot about those guys, and like I'm like, dude, you're a fucking shithead. Like, fuck this guy. Like you're like one of them. There's these two guys, and like one of them's doing it just to fucking, it seems like, enable her, so he's enabling this documentary, and like fuck you. And like the other guy, like the whole story is sad because she's lost and being used, and it's worth the watch. It's definitely worth the watch, but it's heartbreaking, man. It's really heartbreaking, and it's tough to see anyone go through something like that, and to be able to have that candid of footage to see somebody going through moments like that is fucking tough.
Rest in peace, Joni.
Right.
Yeah, rest in peace, Joni.
I remember you fondly, and I think most wrestling fans that are worth their weight would want you as a solo member in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, she deserves that.
She 100% deserves that.
They talk about that and how that was like a huge fucking deal to her.
How could it not be? You know what I mean? Especially like all the other people that were in the Hall of Fame, and she's just getting bypassed. And it's so difficult to argue that she was not such an influential force for women in professional wrestling.
There would be no Beth Phoenix. There would be no, like half of these it just wouldn't exist.
She was taking bumps from dudes. Like, I mean,
she was beating
men's titles,
winning men's titles. Yeah, I mean, pushed her long enough. If that would have been left to continue, I think you could make an argument that she could have carried the WWF title at that time.
I think she could have. I think that honestly, like, it would have been, the world of professional wrestling would be such a different place right now if that had been allowed to happen.
Right. Yeah.
So,
well,
the road of never known.
Way to bring us down as we get out of here, Matthew.
God, Matthew.
Sorry,
I mean, honestly though,
just
like,
saying,
I'm glad we.
I actually
mentioned
had
it.
it in a note that I hadn't looked up. That I was like, I actually watched it the night that it came out. Randomly was packing shit up as I moved, and I was like, oh, this is on. And I like sat down, got high, and I was like, shouldn't have gotten this high. It's getting me in my feet.
Yeah.
I was like,
got too high, and now I'm emotional.
And now I'm
It's fucking me
sad.
up.
Now I'm just sad.
Sad and high is never fun.
Is there anything else we want to mention before we run out of here for the evening?
I just want to say I am excited for the quote-unquote end of the Thunderdome era.
Yes.
I'm excited for wrestling to have fans all across the board again.
It's going to be fun to see, like, different arenas again. It's going to be fun. Like, as much as I've loved Daly's Place, it will be nice to see fans on all four sides of the ring for AEW, right? Like, like that, like in a real true arena format again. Like that.
Right.
That's
instead of an amphitheater arena.
Exactly. Little things like that are going to make a big difference. I think getting rid of the screens with WWE is just going to make a huge difference, and it's right around the corner. I will say, if you are a wrestling fan, please, get your vaccinations and all that, please. And if you're planning on going to these shows, and also if they ask you to wear a mask, don't be a jabron.
Don't be an asshole.
Just throw
Fucking
a
do
mask
it.
on when you're in the concourse, or if they ask you to wear
A
them
quarter
in
of
the
your fucking
seats,
favorite wrestlers wear masks while they're fucking wrestling. You can do it while you walk to the fucking bathroom.
This is what I'm saying.
Listen to Joey
All these
Janela.
guys right back here.
I'm so frustrated, Joey Janela.
I'm so frustrated.
I still want to get that shirt. By the way, if you haven't seen that clip of Joey Janela going to a Seminole County, Florida meeting about mask mandates for schools with that referee, what's his name? Something Drake or whatever. Drake Words. Read that whole story. Look that one up.
Yeah.
It's funny as hell. He made the
Drake
news.
Words.
Old Joey Janela. And I guess he's selling shirts with it. So
Only for a limited time.
I should get one. Anyway, boys, it's been a fun Tuesday evening with the Ohno Wrestling Podcast. Duncan, Matthew, King of Bong Style, Modern Day Maharaja, champion over here, the Charbray Kid. Stealing them. Lie, cheat, steal.
Shit champion.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, for all of us, what do we say when we get out of here, boys?